Hello, and good afternoon. So in this demo video, we will see how to integrate the TestSim software with ngSpice, which is an open source circuit simulator. So this example is aimed towards systems like power electronic converters, buck converters, inverters, or other system which have small circuit, some sensor circuit or something of that sort with a microcontroller which is handling the feedback and control of the mechanism. So in this demo we'll take an example of a buck converter which has a resistance, inductance, capacitance, power supply and everything, and it is the feedback loop, the control of that buck converter is handled by an Atmega. So okay, so this is the buck converter that we are using. This is the inductance, capacitance, the two switches which are pushed by a duty cycle. And the basic theory of buck converter is essentially, I'm not going into details of what the buck converter is and how it works. So it's simply output voltage is D times the input voltage. D is the duty cycle of the PWM. So on this A node we'll be applying a PWM. These switches will be switching in a complementary manner, and that will essentially generate an output voltage which is governed by this equation D times Vn. Okay, so in ngSpice doesn't have a proper UI. You can integrate it with the KiCad or some other schematic design software. I think there are methods to integrate it with KiCad, but because I wanted to explain the TestSim software, I'm not using any GUI. So this is the netlist. This essentially describes how a circuit is. So these are the four components, the models that we have. The for inductance, capacitance, the two switches and an inverter. So inverter is here. So this is essentially to make sure that these two switches, they turn on and off in complementary mode. So when S1 is on, S2 will be off, and when S2 is on, S1 will be off. So that's a basic functionality of a functioning in the buck converter. And this defines that the A1, okay, where is it? Yeah, so A1 is the inverter model which is connected between A and E node. So this node is A, it's not mentioned here, but this is the E node. And S2, S1, so S2 and S1 are essentially, they have four nodes. You can imagine a fourth node here which is connected to the ground, and C ground, and C is the so essentially when this voltage goes beyond a threshold which we have set to 1 volts, it will connect C to ground. Similarly here, when the A to this fourth ground voltage A node goes above 1 volts, it will connect BA and C node. So that is all defined in this circuit netlist, and we can control. So here is for PWM. So for the, just to start to demonstrate how the buck converter is functioning, we gave a pure pulse signal with 0.7 duty cycle. You can see the time period is 0.17 and the on period is 0.07 milliseconds. So that gives a duty cycle of 0.7. So, and we have a supply voltage of 10 volts. Okay, so this should give us an output of 7 volts. So let's run this simple netlist and see without any feedback control or anything how this functions. Okay, so I'm in the terminal now. So I'm in my examples folder. If I do cat buck converter.ci here, you can see it's the same netlist that we had earlier that is written in this file. So I'll just simply run this. Take some time to run. These I just plotted the PWM signals just to show there are too many signals, so it is not very clearly visible, but we can plot the output voltage, which is the D node. You can see here the capacitor is connected to D and ground, and here the capacitor is between D and ground. So output node is node D. If we plot node D, this is what we get. So in this case I'm getting a kind of a first order response because I have a very large capacitor. So where is it? I have a 5 amp capacitor, which is not very realistic. So what I'll do, I'll try just change this capacitor value to say 500 micro. So if I change it to say 500 microfarad. Okay, so now if I run this example, and if I plot VD, yeah, you can see there is some initial rise and then the voltage finally settles to 7 volts, which is our input was 10 volts. So 0.7 duty cycle would give us 0.7 into 10, which is 7 volts of output. This is what we get here. Okay, so this was a simple buck converter. We just directly give it a pulse signal to them, just see how it works. So next we'll take the same buck converter, and what we will do is, we instead of using a pulse source, I will use an Atmega to give out a PWM signal. In one another demo earlier, I kind of show that it can give the Atmega, the TESSIM can give PWM signals for motor control. Here we'll be using the same PWM, similar logic to control the PWM for this buck converter. So essentially this 2cc, so this OCR1B, it goes till it's a 16-bit, it's a 10-bit counter essentially. So 2cc is 0.7 times of 1024, which is the 10-bit bit. So 2cc is essentially the setting a duty cycle of 0.7. Okay, so to demonstrate that, I'll first show you how the netlist looks like. So that netlist I have, yeah. So here the capacitor and everything is the same, switches and inverters are all the same. The only addition is, instead of a pulse source, we have this MCU model. So here we are seeing the program path. This is the part to the hex file that will run as the program. This is the clock frequency. The family and part number, essentially, since TESSIM supports PIC and other Atmega ICs like Atmega 328P and 2560, ATtiny, etc. So this is to specify the part number 1 specifies that we are using the Atmega 2560 part number, and family equal to 0 specifies that it has the AVR instruction family, and because we are supporting PIC and ARM and other families as well. So this it essentially has 100 pins. So all these 100 pins, so by default they are all to 0. This MCU P is the power pin. This is the power supply for the Atmega. So here it is connected to 10 volts, and this is acts as the ADC reference and everything. And the output is, so this is the Atmega IC's pin out. So we are using the OC1B as output, right? So if you see the so OC1B is here, pin 25. So pin 25 here in that node array, it will be numbered at number 24. So as you can see, I'm plotting VO24 because that is the PWM output signal. So which was earlier D node, it is the O24, the output node number 24. So if I run this one, I'll get it'll take some time because because we are using a very small time step. If you see here, yeah, it's a small time step, 1 microsecond, and we are running for 60 milliseconds. So that's 0.06 seconds. So this is taking us slightly more time. We can reduce the time taken by either reducing the time of the simulation or the time division from 1 microsecond to say 10 microseconds. Okay, we're almost done. Yeah. So this is again the two PWM signals, VO24 and VE, which is the complementary of that. Okay, so let me plot VD. Yeah, you can see again we are saturating, so it's a similar plot. It's for a lower time, so it's having a peak and then it's settling down at around 0.7 volts, which is expected. It's still an open loop system. So now we saw earlier there was no load outside the converter. So now let's say I put a load here. So because load will also be drawing some current, so it might be changing the voltage, the output input characteristics. So here I have the same netlist with Atmega and everything. So I just the D node is my output node. So between output and ground, I just apply a 10 volt 10 ohms resistor. So 10 ohms is actually a high load because it will be drawing a lot of current. So let's see. So I'll run the previous command to run the ngSpice, and again let's almost done. So if we plot the output, yeah, so you can see applying a load, actually instead of saturating at 7 volts, it is settling down at slightly lower value, because now the resistance is there, it will drop the output voltage. But in reality, buck converters are present inside power regulators in phones, in laptops, in PCs, and there you actually need the voltage in a very narrow range. And you, even when the load is there, when the processor is drawing a lot of current and all, you still don't want it to be going and changing the voltage from say 3.3 to even 3 volts. So what we want here is that the voltage should remain at around 7 volts and not very much beyond it. So for achieving that, we'll need some form of a feedback, which so here you can see if I increase the duty cycle, the voltage will increase. But how does the circuit know that by how much and when should it increase the duty cycle? So for that we need some kind of a feedback mechanism which compares the output voltage with some reference value and decides if it should increase or decrease the PWM pulse width in order to increase or decrease the output voltage. So okay, so here next we'll see the same buck converter with a load and a feedback. So the feedback is via ADC in the Atmega, which we'll do some processing to try and set the output voltage with a reference. So this is the small C code. I'm not going into the details of the C code and the control logic. So in essence, this is the reference is 2cc, which is to set a duty cycle of 0.7. It's essentially 0.7 into 1024 converted to hex. So we set the ADCs and everything, and here what we have, we see the input in what's in the ADC registers, and essentially if it is less than what, if the output is the greater than my reference, that means I need to decrease the duty cycle. So I set a duty cycle of slightly less than 0.7, so it starts to bring down my voltage. And if it sees that that is not the case, if it's above it, the reference value, so the output value is lower than the reference value, then it will set the duty cycle to a value slightly higher than there. So it's not a complicated control. In fact, it's a really simple comparator type of control logic. Much more real advanced system, modern day, you will have some kind of integrator or something like that. I'm not implemented all that here, just for the sake of simplicity. Okay, so we simulation is complete. Let's plot PD. Yeah. So last time it was saturating around 6.5 or something. So even below around 6, slightly above 6. So here it is, there's still slight variation. It is going below 7, but it is coming back to 7, and variation is much smaller, and more or less the steady state value is around 7 volts. So this way, the control system. So the main focus of this presentation was to give a demonstration of the TestSim software and how it can be used to simulate such systems where you have some circuitry, because some circuits and all you can be easily simulated in softwares like ngSpice, PaySpice. There are a bunch of softwares for that. But let's say if you have a circuit and a microcontroller which is doing some control logic and stuff like that, so if you need to simulate those, so TestSim can really help you in simulating such systems as well. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.